Hello my dear viewers, and welcome back to some more Death Battle. Now, can it possibly get any worse than Esdeath versus Gray? Well, let's find out.
Machamp.
What? You're no Shokan! Be gone from my lair!
Machamp!
Disgusting! A pathetic runt like you wastes our dragon blood! Like a warrior!
Machamp!
Stop saying that! You're no champ! I am the champion of Mortal Kombat!
So, Goro versus Machamp. Well, it's better than Gray versus Esdeath, for what it's worth. However, that's really not saying much, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. So the first thing I'm going to address is, of course, the matchup, which I have explained before I have a huge problem with, especially after dealing with Yang versus Doomfist last time. Now I have to deal with this, and once again, it's essentially the same exact matchup. Two four-armed creatures who punch shit, so have them fight each other. That's basically what it comes down to. I've had people try to tell me that there are other connections between these characters, such as, well, Goro's part dragon, and Machamp has connections to dragon types because he can learn dragon type moves. Yeah, I'm sorry Death Battle fans, but those are just as generic and forced of connections as anything else. But moreover, the reason why these matchups are lame is because when you have two characters that are essentially the same thing fighting each other, then it doesn't make for a very entertaining fight when you break it down. and I will be going more in detail with this in my video that I'm working on called What Makes a Good Death Battle Matchup, because a lot of people ask me about that. Well, one thing I will say here is avoid having two characters that are basically the same thing fighting each other, because it's hard to have a fun little dynamic when it's essentially the same thing. I mean, it's just punching, a little bit of throwing, and more punching. It's just not really all that exciting, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it. Now, I'm not saying that hand-to-hand based death battles are bad. They can be very entertaining. I'm just saying when that's all you have, it can get boring pretty quickly if there's nothing to change it up. I mean, as bad as the matchup of Esdeath versus Gray was, at least there was an attempt to add some variety throughout the fight, which is at least something I can say more so over this one. And another issue with this matchup is it's a really poorly balanced matchup. Machamp is far too powerful for Goro and would absolutely decimate him. But of course, Death Battle only thinks about compatibility after the fact. They don't bother to do the research beforehand to make sure these two characters can actually fight each other, which then leads to Death Battle having to lowball these characters, which you better believe Death Battle somehow managed to find a way to lowball Machamp, which I'll get to in a minute. But what I want to establish is Machamp is at least mountain level according to the Pokédex, and also at his weakest he is a lightning timer. However, it has been confirmed that there are many Pokemon that are light speed, which again I will get to in a minute when I go over Death Battle's lowball. But yes, this matchup is terrible. It's not the worst matchup in the world, I guess. I mean, it's no Naruto versus Ichigo, but it's just not really all that exciting. It's just a generic meh matchup. And I felt like there was more that Death Battle could have done here. I mean, it's like, come on, with the level of logic of why these two should fight, why don't you throw General Grievous at these two while you're at it? It would make about as much sense. But outside of the matchup, one thing I want to go over is the lowball. This is a huge problem. Any amount of lowballing is unacceptable, regardless of context, no matter what. So, Death Battle tried to say that Machamp is only Mach 1 based on his 1,000 punches feat, which is total fucking nonsense. Now they say that Goro is like Mach 3 and Machamp is Mach 1, so therefore Goro is faster than Machamp, but Machamp is stronger. That's complete bullshit. Like I said earlier, Machamp, in his weakest form, Machamp, is able to dodge lightning-based attacks from Pokemon like Pikachu. And Pikachu isn't exactly known as a powerhouse. However, even this alone would show that Machamp is at the very least a lightning timer. And keep in mind, we're only talking about Machamp here. Machamp is far more powerful than Machamp could ever be. So it stands to reason Machamp would be way faster than a lightning timer. And this is already way more faster than Death Battle said Goro was. But moreover, I have had many Pokemon fans come to me and say that Machamp would at the very least be light speed, because there are plenty of Pokemon that are light speed that Machamp either compares to or is more powerful than. And I want to show this little video clip from the anime to show you all what I'm talking about.
無駄だね。リグラが首を引っ込めるスピードは秒速29万 9792.458km を超える。何それ？光の速ささ。リグラは強いポケモンじゃないけど逃げるのは速い。へえ、勉強してるんだ。4番のサートシ君とは違う。
Now, as you just saw, Digletts are confirmed to be light speed. And this has been shown in the anime, and the writers even did the math for you, Death Battle. You have no excuse to fuck this up. So this is either Death Battle intentionally lowballing Machamp like they usually do, so it doesn't look like as bad of a slaughter, or Death Battle is a bunch of morons that wanted to try to use complicated mathematics to try to seem clever. Because I don't know why Death Battle always has to overcomplicate things when there's very simple explanations. Either that, or Death Battle just honestly forgot that electric-type Pokemon exist, and that Pokemon are capable of dodging lightning-based moves. So Death Battle, you fucked that up, and there's no excuse for it. And like I just said, this is a very bad spite of epic proportions. Goro is no match for Machamp. Machamp is stronger, more durable, and far faster. Even if you want to lowball Machamp, he would at the very lowest be lightning speed. That's the lowest. Now, outside of that, as far as I know, there was no other low balls outside of that. However, if there was any other low balls in this Death Battle, please let me know in the comment section if I missed something. But so again, this matchup is fucking terrible. I know I'm going on and on, but I really need to hammer this point home because some people on Twitter gave me shit for calling this out as a bad matchup. But here's another thing that pisses me off about this Death Battle. Now, all of a sudden, Death Battle remembers the whole rock, paper, scissors thing in Pokemon, which they ignored with Charizard versus Greymon. Now they point out how, in the logic of the Pokemon universe, certain Pokemon types are more effective than others. Now they mention it. So, way to go, Death Battle. You've either shown that you have no clue what you're doing, or you intentionally left that information out when you did Charizard versus Greymon, just so you can fuck over Charizard. However, I'm not going to get into that too much here, but I am at least somewhat glad that Death Battle, I guess, fixed that mistake. However, that should have never been a mistake that I should have to praise them for fixing in the first place, because this is basic fucking knowledge. Now, I'll get into the animation, and I will admit, the animation is good. Outside of some cartoony level kind of pratfalls, it kind of felt like, the fight itself was really good. I'll give you that, Death Battle. However, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to 3D animation. Whenever Death Battle does 3D animation, even when they do a lame matchup like this, it's still entertaining. I keep constantly getting on Death Battle for having the resources and manpower to make consistently amazing looking animations like this, but they choose not to, either for laziness or because of their dumb little crunch schedule that they decide to force upon themselves. Either way, it's really annoying, and there's no excuse for Death Battle not to be able to continuously have high quality animation like this. However, getting back to the animation, I enjoyed it, although I felt the punches could have had a little bit more impact to them, especially when you consider that this is Mortal Kombat. I mean, outside of getting each other's arms ripped off, there wasn't too much brutality or grittiness, which is something you could have done, Death Battle. I mean, this is Mortal Kombat. You have no excuse not to. But all in all, I enjoyed the animation. It was good for what it was. And the soundtrack was also pretty good. Certainly a lot better than Esdeath vs. Gray. And it certainly got the job done. And I like that they mixed together combinations of the Pokemon and Mortal Kombat themes. I think that's what Death Battle should do, is take themes that are associated with these universes and characters and maybe remix them in a way rather than doing original soundtracks, because while I can appreciate on some level of Death Battle doing original soundtracks, sometimes it doesn't always end well, and sometimes it's just a little bit better just to take music that is already associated with the characters and just maybe make your own little remixed version. But I did like the soundtrack. This Death Battle isn't completely bad. There is some good stuff in it. Even a couple of the jokes were okay and got a laugh out of me. However, they do reuse the whole Boomstick's wife cheated on him with Goro joke twice. I don't know why you had to do the same joke twice. I mean, it's not any funnier just because you do it again. Once again, Death Battle, did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? I guess not. Either that, or you're just not listening. All in all, my thoughts on this Death Battle are, so far, this is the best Death Battle of the season. I'll give it that, but that's really not saying much. But in regards to a final score, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's slightly above average. And most of that is due to the 3D animation and the soundtrack, which holds this up. However, due to the low balls, which shouldn't have been there, I have to dock it down heavily because of that, because there is no excuses for that. While some of the humor works, the repeating of certain jokes and certain cringy jokes also docks it down, and of course, the matchup is a huge issue here. I'm starting to feel that this season of Death Battle is nothing but a filler season. Like, they took a bunch of Death Battles that the audience really wanted to see, but was too stupid or bland to do, so they decided to just say fuck it and throw them all into one large filler season, because the fact that of all the Death Battles so far, this one is the best of them, which is just a average, decent, mindless little punching match at best, is quite sad. And this is still shaping up to be one of the worst seasons of Death Battle so far. And unfortunately, it doesn't get much better with our next matchup, which we'll get to later. But what did you guys think of Goro versus Machamp? Do you think that this was better, or do you think that it was worse and this season is shaping up to be pretty terrible? Let me know what you think, and if there's anything I missed, please let me know. And I'll see you guys around next time.